You can spend hours looking at these pictures.
Bobby Jindal grew up not far from the governor's mansion here in Baton Rouge. His dad wanted him to be a doctor, but despite getting into medical and law schools at both Harvard and Yale, Jindal chose a life of public service.
Technically, your name is not Bobby.
That's right. You know, the story my mom loves to tell everybody. When I was 4 years old, I used to come home from school, and at the time, I was allowed to watch a little bit of TV, and one of the shows that was on in syndication was The Brady Bunch. It was one of my favorite shows. I'd watch it every afternoon. And if you remember, Bobby Brady was the youngest boy on that show. And I guess I just identified with him because we were the same age, we probably had the same interest. You know, we didn't like girls or whatever, we liked to play football. So one day my mom was picking me up from school, and the teacher said, well, your son's got a new name. And she said, what are you talking about? Apparently, I just showed up one day without telling her, without asking her for permission, showed up and told all my friends to call me Bobby from that day on, and they did.
His parents immigrated here to Louisiana from India looking for a better life. Jindal says he ran for public office to ensure their grandchildren don't have to leave the state to achieve their American dream.
My parents, but my dad especially, has lived the American dream. One of 9 kids, only one that got past the 5th grade, literally grew up in that house without electricity, without running water. Worked extremely hard, got his first job by calling companies out of the yellow pages till somebody would hire him here in Baton Rouge.
As the son of immigrants, is this debate over immigration reform personal to you?
This, to me, is such a simple issue where we are today. We don't need a 1,000-page bill, a comprehensive bill out of the Senate. We need to secure the border. I think that it's pretty simple. You know, the president keeps talking about it. We need to just do it. And the reality is, if he was serious about it, he's been president now, he's in his 2nd term, this could have been done by now. There's no excuse for this.
Despite his southern drawl, Jindal is an extremely fast talker who rarely misses a chance to call out the president.
I think the biggest frustration right now is the rest of the country versus D.C.
He knows something about Washington, having served 2 terms in Congress. Now, as a 2-term governor, he's making education reform a priority.
One of the things, the most important things we've done is to really give parents, to trust parents in terms of educating their kids.
You have changed your mind on Common Core standards for Louisiana. What changed for you?
I think this was originally presented as a bottom-up approach, and instead has become a top-down approach. To me, this is the same fight you see when the left tells you, we can't trust the American people to buy big gulps. We can't trust the American people to exercise their Second Amendment rights. We can't trust the American people to have religious liberty. We can't trust the American people to buy their own health insurance, to decide what kind of health insurance they want.
It's a calculated fight with Louisiana's Board of Education, and now some proponents of Common Core are suing him. Jindal and his wife, Supriya, have a girl and 2 boys of their own to think about educating.
My kids were 6, 3, and 1 when we moved in the mansion. And
that was 6 years ago. After long labors with their first 2 children, Supriya knew their 3rd child, Slade, wouldn't wait for the hospital, giving Jindal a chance to finally play the profession his dad dreamed for him, literally delivering his son at home.
And she was in all this pain, and she was literally on the floor. I mean, there's no time to get prepared. When I saw our son covered in this purple goo, I was thinking, he doesn't look like he's done. I mean, maybe we should put him back in for a little while. When I handed her our child for the first time, all of that pain went away. She wasn't thinking about anything but her little baby boy, and I fell in love with her all over again.
His wife of 17 years, she's the first girl he had a crush on, and the first girl to break his heart. Many years later came their reunion at a Mardi Gras ball. In 6 short months, they were engaged.
You know, God truly has a plan for us. Sometimes we don't understand it. If she had said yes in high school, I wasn't ready. I wasn't mature enough. I hadn't even accepted Christ yet in terms of who I was going to become as a person.
You grew up in a Hindu home, right? How did you then make this transformation into what you call an evangelical Catholic?
You know, I'd love to tell you I had a sudden epiphany. It wasn't that easy. You know, some people, it really is easy. You know, they get hit over the head, and I think that's great. For me, it was a 7-year process.
A journey of intense reading, study, and self-examination. It all clicked one day while attending a church production with a friend.
In the middle of it, they showed a little film, nothing fancy. Black and white film where there was an actor playing Jesus being crucified. Now, we've probably seen 1,000 better movies. It was black and white, no famous actors, the camera was probably shaking. But for some reason, when I saw the actor on the cross, God chose that moment to hit me harder than I've ever been hit before. All of a sudden, it just hit me. if that's really the Son of God, if he's up there on that cross, not for 1 billion people, that's too easy. He's up there because of Bobby Jindal. If he's dying up there because of my sins, because of what I've done, what I've failed to do, how arrogant for me to do anything but to get on my knees and worship him.
For now, he does what anyone with one eye on the White House typically does: raise money and campaign for candidates competing in the midterms.
After the last presidential election, you said the Republican Party was acting stupid. As we approach the midterms, as we approach 2016, has the party grown any smarter?
When I said we've got to stop being the stupid party, we've got to offer solutions. We cannot just be the anti-party. We've got to be for things. I think that this is still a center-right country. And I think if we will present specific solutions, if we go out there and fight for every vote and say, not only do we oppose what the other side is doing, we've got better ideas.
Last fall, he launched America Next, a conservative policy group designed to develop some of those ideas.
What is the greatest threat facing America right now?
I don't think we can be beat by an external enemy. I think the greatest threat to America comes from within. We are blessed to be in the greatest country in the history of the world. But it's not inevitably so. We've got to renew that every generation. I think the biggest threat is that erosion of what it means to pursue the American dream. It's that assault on religious liberty. It's the undermining of what makes us an exceptional country.
He's not expected to make a decision about running for president until after November, but he's not shy when it comes to talking about who he consults about the future.
It's like Jesus, it's like God gives us the book of life. He doesn't let us look at every page, but he lets us look at the last page. And the last page, our God wins. He beats death, he beats Satan, he gets up off that cross. We should rejoice and we should live our lives with grace, glory, and humility, animated by that sense that we worship an all-risen, all-powerful God who's got plans that we won't necessarily understand.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Baton Rouge.